computer age, if some of you have already presented a topic on material characterization, you very well know that if you go and synthesize a material in the lab, you need to confirm whether that material is the one that you wanted to synthesize, right? When you are doing any kind of chemical work in the lab, the chances of having an impurity or having a material which you did not want might happen. You are having a new kind of polymer that you are developing. You should be able to confirm whether that is the polymer that you want to develop. Okay. So for that we use the techniques which are called characterization technique. Material के बारे में जानने के लिए हम technique use करते हैं, that is your characterization technique. And X-ray spectra or X-ray spectroscopy is a very important technique to know the properties of a material. So आज हम पढ़ेंगे about X-ray spectra, and whenever you are having these kind of machines, for example an X-ray spectroscopy machine, or even if this is used in medical purposes, we know it, X-rays and all that. And then we have for scanning electron microscopy, everything, right? These are all basically connected to a computer. आजकल वो दिन पे, all of you know about Rutherford scattering experiment, I hope, right? So in Rutherford scattering experiment, what happened? Alpha particle, okay, was allowed to hit the target, okay, the gold foil, and it gets scattered. And where was the detector? The detector was a zinc sulfide screen. So उस पे dots आते हैं, उसको बैठ के analyze करते हैं. उसके लिए कुछ computer programming नहीं चाहिए. But today, that those days are over. For whatever output we are going to get, we need to have a computer program so that we are able to see the result, right? We are transferring one kind of signal to a form which we can read, and then we are going to look at it to the screen, right? And for that you need to design a program. That's very important. Now if someday someone asks you to design a program for an X-ray spectroscopy machine, you need to know what is the basics. Very important. Okay? So X-ray spectra, before we come to that, we know about X-rays. These are highly energetic photons. As all of you know, this comes under the category of electromagnetic radiation. Sun is the source of all electromagnetic radiation. Consider, X-ray, UV rays, gamma rays, okay, visible light, all are present in the sun. It's basically coming from there. That's the ultimate source of energy. You all know it. What kind of signal do we use for TV, radios and all, mobile phones and all? Radio waves, okay? Very important. TV, we want to use the remote, we are using infrared and so on, right? So we are having these kind of signal. This all comes under electromagnetic radiation. Very important, right? X-ray, I hope all of you know that it was actually discovered by William Röntgen in the year 1895, and this was the reason for the first Nobel Prize in Physics in 1901. The discovery was for X-rays. If you look through videos or you go for any historical, evidence of X-ray, the X-ray pattern of your finger bones, okay, this was actually something which was very popular. So that also happened by accident. So he was actually the one who discovered it, and it has been a medical rule. We already know it, right? Because any kind of fracture and all, you usually go to a clinic and do your X-ray. But then it is also advised that X-rays, you should not get exposed to X-rays too much. If you are having an X-ray of your body, probably once or twice a year, not beyond that, because these are very highly energetic particles. What does it mean? It's going to damage your cell, right? End of the day, cancer क्या होता है? Damage cell, right? If your cell is damaged, you are having a cancer, right? So basically, these are energetic particles, so we should not get ourselves exposed to it too much. That's again important. So, next thing is, how do we generate it? Although your syllabus doesn't mention about the generation, but then these 3 lines should explain how it is generated. That's very important before we go to the actual topic. So, high energy electrons fall on target. So how do we get high energy electrons? That is again very important. So you might have a material, okay. For example, let's say, I hope all of you know about fluorescent bulbs, right? How does it work? Fluorescent bulb, you basically have a tungsten filament. You are applying a voltage there, but the filament has got a very high resistance, right? Because of which it will actually start glowing, and then it will give you some light. So in a similar way, if we apply some voltage to the material, it's going to generate electrons. These are electrons which are fast moving electrons, okay? And those fast moving electrons will actually fall on the target. So the target, let me write it down as T, can be something like molybdenum or tungsten. So if high energy electrons, which is generated in a separate chamber, falls on a target like molybdenum or tungsten, we are going to get X-rays. Okay, this is the baseline of how X-rays are generated. Of course, the system is much more complicated. So after this, we are going to get X-rays. So that's how it is generated in short. So I'm not going to ask you a question on how X-rays are produced. Even if it's a question, it probably will be a 1 mark question. Okay? Because this is actually a huge topic and we are not covering that in our syllabus as well. Next. So the X-rays that gets generated can be divided into two types. One type of X-ray is called the continuous X-ray and the second type of X-ray is called the characteristics X-ray. Now before I come to this term, let me tell you what do you mean by continuous. Continuous means whatever X-ray is getting generated, it will have some wavelength. It's a wave, photons, so it will have some wavelength, right? Continuous means all the ranges of wavelength will be present. It is a continuous X-ray. So if you think about the range of X-rays, can anyone tell me what is the range of visible light?
400 to 700.
Correct. 400 to 700 nanometer. Can anyone tell me what is the range for X-ray? I'm thinking of asking these questions in Viva as well. Okay. I'll leave it to you. I'm not going to tell you now, but I hope you find the answer. So X-rays का जो wavelength है ना, वो जितना भी wavelength आएगा, it will cover the entire range, and that is why it is called continuous X-ray. Another kind of X-ray is called the characteristics X-ray. Characteristics का मतलब क्या होता है? English word. What does it mean? See, your height is this much, your weight is this much. That is your characteristics, your property, right? So characteristic X-ray means if I have a certain material, let's say I am basically getting the X-ray out of this molybdenum or tungsten. It will be giving out an X-ray which is a signature of molybdenum. मतलब ऐसा wavelength निकलेगा जो सिर्फ molybdenum से ही निकल सकता है. So that is defining the material molybdenum or that is defining the material tungsten. So it is a characteristic property of that particular material and that is why it is called the characteristic X-ray. ठीक है? अभी let's plot a graph. Plot a graph between wavelength and intensity. Very important question. I did ask some of you in Viva also. This section Viva is almost over. Some of you are there. So intensity, I think I've asked you this question. What do you mean by intensity? Okay. I'll still not answer this. But then let me tell you something which you already know. You have a bulb and you are allowing the light to fall on the wall. So you will measure some intensity. But if you bring that wall very close to the wall, to the bulb, what will be the intensity? Will it increase or decrease? Increase, right? Reason is you are bringing it closer. That means you are, getting more radiation exposed to smaller area, right? So power, area, all these are connected with the term intensity. Okay, please remember that and try to prepare in your external. If you get that experiment, I should ask you and you should be able to answer. Okay, निकाल लेना answer. It's in terms of power and area. Please remember this. Yes, if you have found out that answer. So if I plot a graph between intensity and wavelength, we can plot it. I can have a wavelength coming out of it and I can know how much intense is that wave. And I can plot a graph and then I can get different values. I will see that at certain value the wavelength, let's say for a particular wavelength, the intensity would be maximum. But it does not mean that there won't be any other wavelength which is less than or greater than this wavelength. There will be. So this particular line, which is the smooth line that I am drawing, is actually the continuous spectrum. You can also level it in your diagram. This is the continuous X-ray spectrum. Next, what do you mean by characteristics X-ray spectrum? So these lines, K alpha, K beta, K gamma, which will appear as a separate peak, is called characteristic X-ray. So how they are generated, that is what we are going to explain now. So I'm going to explain characteristics X-rays, but before that, let me explain the generation of continuous X-ray. I'm going to explain this as well. Okay. So first thing, how do we get a continuous X-ray spectrum? Very important. Now, this is your target. Your target might be molybdenum or tungsten. Let's consider this is a target, and we have an electron beam. So, if an electron moves, which is having charge, right? All of us remember Maxwell's equations, right? Even if you don't remember the equation, you understand the underlying meaning of Maxwell's equation. It comes under electromagnetic theory, right? That means if you have electrical field, you will have a magnetic field associated with it. If you have a magnetic field, you will have a electrical field associated with it. So if an electron moves, it is going to have some kind of field around it, right? And also, if an electron moves, it will have some energy. Can someone tell me what will be the energy of an electron if we apply a potential V across the two ends? Half epsilon naught E square can also be written, but I am talking about the energy. You are basically having an electron and you are applying some potential, let's say V. EV, right? Electron volt. Okay. So this is the energy of the electron. That means if you are having a moving electron, it will have some energy. Now imagine this situation. Very simple. It enters the target. Electron is negatively charged. The nucleus is positively charged. Will it slow down the electron? Yes, because it's going to attract. That means अगर वो slow हो गया तो उसका energy कम हो गया. That's common sense, right? If something moves fast, it has more energy. If it moves slow, less energy. So if it slows down, the energy has reduced. But there is this idea of conservation of energy. Where does the remaining energy go? That comes out in the form of radiation. And that is your continuous X-ray. Is it clear, the idea? Right? Conservation of energy. The electron moves very fast, it has energy. It slows down because of the nuclei. And because of it slowing down, it's going to emit some energy, and that will come out in the form of X-ray. This is continuous X-ray. Please remember in physics, it's not that if I am studying continuous X-ray, other phenomenon does not happen. Every phenomenon happens might be at the same time. But we are studying one by one. ठीक है? तो ऐसा मत सोचना दूसरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. If आपके दिमाग में आ रहा है क्या होगा अगर ये हिट करेगा, क्या होगा अगर ये न्यूक्लियस से दूर रहेगा, सब हो रहा है, everything is happening. But the reason for continuous X-ray is it is coming close to the nuclei, slowing down, emitting energy. That is continuous X-ray. I introduce you to a term which is called bremsstrahlung. This slowing down of electron because of the charge of the nuclei is called bremsstrahlung. Okay, it's just a term. Just remember it. Okay, BREMSTRAHLUNG. Okay. So this is the source of continuous X-ray. Next, what is the reason for characteristic X-ray? Let's try to understand. It's very simple. You know now that from atomic concept, the electrons will be in shell. So there are shells. This is a K shell. This is an L shell. This is an M shell. K shell के लिए n का value है 1. L shell के लिए n का value है 2. K shell means ground state. First excited state. Second excited state. Right? We have our electrons. Now what happens is that same electron is coming in, but this time maybe it is not coming close to the nuclei. Maybe it's hitting another electron. Correct? So what are you expecting if an electron hits another electron? Okay, you are standing here, right? And you are standing here and your friend comes very fast and pushes you, hits you rather, right? So क्या होगा? आप displaced हो जाओगे. You'll get displaced, right? So that means if a fast moving electron comes in, this electron will get ejected. A kind of photoelectric effect example we can say. But then when the electron gets ejected, what happens here? There is a vacancy created. So that means there is a hole that is getting created. Let me tell you something. I think you have heard about this story as well. What is darkness? Absence of light. Absolutely, right? There's a story behind it. So even similarly here also, what is a hole? Absence of electron. So a lot of time we have this misconception, hole means positive charge. Right? We do believe that, right? But that is actually not true. Because of this hole, the electrons will keep on moving from one place to another. Right? So वो hole की वजह से current होता है. The electron is moving, that is giving me the current. So that is because electrons can move because there is a vacancy. right? So the hole will keep on moving here and there, and I will get a current, and that is the concept of holes. It's not a positive charge, okay? Positive charge मतलब positive होता है, positive थोड़ी है वहाँ पे, नहीं है, right? So what happens? There is a hole. So whenever we have an electron in the upper energy level, it will want to come back to the ground state. So that means the electron which is there in the L shell will come down to the ground state in the K shell. It will fill up that hole. So if the hole gets filled up, that means it is coming from an upper energy level to a lower energy level. Upper energy level to a lower energy level, that means it is going to emit some radiation. That radiation is characteristics X-ray. And now you know the concept, because ये जो energy gap होता है ना दो energy level के बीच में, that is a property of a particular material. For molybdenum the difference will be something. For tungsten it will be something else. So if you measure that energy, you see energy is different for molybdenum, energy is different for tungsten, and that is why it is called characteristics X-ray. It tells me the property of that material. Once I know the intensity of that K alpha line, I straight away know what material it is. ठीक है? And that is why it is called characteristic X-ray. So ये होता है मेरा characteristic X-ray, hole created, it gets ejected, and I think you can make some sentences to write it down. It's not very complicated, but then the diagram is very important. Now you might have a very obvious question in your mind कि जब ये इलेक्ट्रॉन को हिट कर रहा है, it is very close to the nucleus, does it slow down as well? Does both the things happen at the same time? The answer is yes. It does happen at the same time. So in the same process, I might have a characteristic X-ray as well as a continuous X-ray. दोनों हो सकते हैं एक साथ, but हम लोग अलग अलग करके पढ़ रहे हैं उसको. We are studying it separately, but both of them can happen together. There can be other phenomena also, right? There are a lot of phenomena, something which is called Auger effect and all, but we are not studying that. But please remember, whatever we are studying are only to understand the generation of X-ray. But there will be other things which might also happen. It's not that you are only going to get X-ray. You can't get some other radiations coming out of it, right? So we are just studying X-ray. That's it. So that's why these sources are good for generating X-ray. More or less perfect for bringing out that particular wavelength which is in the X-ray range. What else you have to do? You have to draw an energy level diagram. So all of us remember about this, bracket, P-fund and all, right? All those lines, hydrogen spectra lines. It is something similar. You have the energy level, ground state, first excited, second excited, third excited. If there is a transition from the L to the K state, all these are K lines. So if there is a transition from L to K, it is K alpha. If there is transition from M to K, it is K beta. If there is a transition from N to K, it is K gamma. That is how you remember what are K alpha line, K beta line, K gamma line. तो ये वाली कौन सी लाइन है बोलो? ये रेडिएशन कौन सा है? Can you look into the diagram and tell me what is this radiation? K alpha, right? Because it is going from N to K. See, this is your L shell. It is going from N to K. So this is K alpha, right? But if I draw more lines, it will be very confusing. That's why I have drawn this energy level diagram.